All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Another exciting episode of Two Men in Black and White, an honest conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't gotten the memo, it should be in your inbox. It's titled Pushback Everywhere at Everything that this moronic clown car cabinet would like to try to accomplish. That's what's happening at the CDC. That's what's happening at the Fed. That is what should be happening each and every place that these morons come with these initiatives that don't make life better or safer or longer for American citizens. Joining us now from high atop the Hudson River Valley, Brock Ganeles, our chief correspondent on politics and wellness. And he joins us now with a look at the doctor's orders. Brock, nothing could have made me prouder today than to see those CDC folks, those highly educated scientists supporting and backing their leader and walking out in the face of tyranny, openly defying RFK's orders to do what makes no sense, to sign off on policies and programs that aren't going to help us and that do not make good scientific sense. What say you, my friend?
Well, I mean, I'm just happy to see it, right? I mean, first of all, their building got shot up, right? Like 10 days ago with like 1,000 bullets almost, right? And it was barely a ripple on the news story, right? No one said a word. RFK didn't even comment on it for 48 hours. Trump still has not said a word, right? So first of all, they're under fire because some COVID vaccine maniacs wanted to kill them all. And then 10 days later, the management basically is told either sign off on shit that doesn't make sense or we're going to fire you. And so I guess in the end they quit. Are they suing for their jobs? Are they? Because I know some lawyers have been hired, so I still wasn't sure. I guess today they officially got fired. And yeah, it's good to see the people stand up and walk out. I mean, it's going to make us less healthy to have all those people leave their jobs, right? America's less healthy today than it was yesterday, and there's people not watching for listeria and food. There's just no one doing the job of our public health. But we got to put a line in the sand. You got to fight the fight, and we got to highlight how absurd RFK Jr.'s policy making is.
Absolutely.
So I'm happy with the fight, right? I'm just happy the fight's going on. I'm not happy with the reason they're fighting, but I'm happy it's going on. But
you gotta love it. You gotta love the fight and the pushback.
But I'm going to be a pissed off, Mark, just let me finish. I'm going to be an angry white guy soon, right? Because I want a COVID shot. I want the new COVID shot that's been approved by the FDA that covers the new strains of COVID because I don't want to get COVID again. I've had it once, don't want to get it again, ever. And I know, right? So the new restrictions doesn't look like would allow me to get access to it because I think you have to be over 60 with underlying conditions and some other category, right? They've really restricted who is going to be able to get access to the vaccine. So I can't be the only angry white person out there who's going to be like, give me the fucking vaccine. Okay?
Right.
Well, I've lived through COVID once. The world has lived through COVID together. It killed a bunch of us. There's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people with long COVID. And every one of us who got it knows our internal organs got degraded to some level because of it and don't see the need to have it again.
Right. I know that was painful. I'm sorry. I didn't know you had COVID.
Yeah. Just got it once.
Yeah, my son had it. Yeah, it's debilitating. It's brutal. Matter of fact, my son had it when he was playing on a professional hockey team out in Kansas City, and they couldn't even practice because they didn't have enough guys. That's how fast it ran through the team. They had to cancel games. I mean, it was brutal. So, yeah, I get it, man. And I want the shot because I'm 60, right? And I got asthma. So these underlying health conditions, I don't want it, right? I don't even want to take a chance with it.
Yeah.
So I want the vaccine.
Yeah. Toddlers want their measles vaccine, right? I mean, they don't know it, but the parents know it, right?
Right.
Hey, once a vaccine, I saw today that they think that they're close to maybe even getting a vaccine for pancreatic cancer, right? I'm like, that would be amazing. But then I'm thinking, well, if we have this fucking moronic administration in place, are they going to not roll it out? Because they're going to have some sort of crock pot fucking conspiracy around it? Like, are we just not going to have vaccines anymore?
Is it a conspiracy or is it greed? Are they in bed with the pharmaceutical industry to not roll out a possible vaccine for pancreatic cancer so that
I mean,
people still get cancer and have to spend
to treat,
hundreds of thousands of dollars on drugs, right, to try to treat pancreatic cancer that oftentimes claims the victim's lives?
I don't know. I mean, that's so core level,
Diabolical.
deep seated, evil mindedness that I kind of hope not. I mean, Trump, I could see that from Trump. I just think RFK Jr. thinks he's the smartest guy in the room and just has all this shit figured out.
Ugh.
And he thinks like a dime store scientist, and he's just smarter than everyone else and has this vision for how life works. But he's an idiot and he's a moron, and he's just going to degrade our health. In the end, I'm happy CDC's the rank and file have walked out, and I hope it becomes a big story, and I hope it actually makes its way through to middle America and just sort of everyone in America, because obviously healthcare is a topic that can unite us in terms of we all
Right.
have to deal with it, right? We all have bodies that are going to break down on us over time. We all want to live as long as we can and as high quality life as we can. So we all agree on that.
Well, look, Brock,
Maybe this catches fire across the country.
let's review, Brock. What are we the only ones on, right? We're the only industrialized nation that can't come up with universal health care. We're the only industrial nation that wants common sense gun reform laws but can't get them, right? We're the only nation, that lives check to check in the world's richest place in the history of the world. This is the richest country in the history of the world.
We're also the only country
We
that
live
has,
check to check.
yeah, and we're the only country that even has something called medical bankruptcy, right? Medical debt
Exactly.
bankruptcy, because other countries don't even deal in it because of the
Right.
universal health care. Yeah, our whole system's terrible, but our scientific breakthroughs and the amount of advancement we've made is just dramatic. We're the best in the world at that because of CDC and NIH and all the universities that are given the money to do this great research. And it's why we've been living better lives and increasingly better and longer lives, and more ailments that used to kill us now are manageable. And we've stripped away all of those pillars of our exceptionalism. That was an area where we were absolutely exceptional. And we've ripped them all away. And we've literally let an idiot at almost the level of Trump idiocy, one of the few people in America that almost are as moronic as Trump, RFK Jr., to run our healthcare.
Yep.
It's
Makes no
tragic.
sense. Makes no sense.
Least, we'll see if America wakes up to this story because of what the leadership of CDC is doing, and that the rank and file in walking out, whether they can make themselves into a really big story that everyone American can just kind of get their arms around and be like,
Right.
why are we doing this to ourselves?
Right. Right. So the CDC leader Menarez says she's not leaving the post.
Okay.
Now, Caroline Levitt, she's lying again, saying that she's been fired and a new chief will be picked soon. So again, what was it, Maxwell Smart, where you had the Chaos Organization? It's like the Trump regime, right? They're Operation Chaos. This is the only way Trump can do anything. This guy lives in total fucking chaos, and he's got no friends. So how is he in chaos all the time? He doesn't have anybody to pick up the phone and call and just shoot the shit with, right? Like, what's he doing? Everything's always in chaos, right? We got the CDC thing going on. We got, world conflicts going on. We've got the deportation nightmare going on. Like, all this shit going on. The Epstein file. We got all this shit going on. How does this guy survive? Come on, cholesterol. Do your thing. Would you clog up those arteries already? Shut this shit down. Like, this is ridiculous. This is no way to run a goddamn country, especially a country like ours.
He's emboldened now. He thinks he can do anything, right? They're talking about
Yeah.
something going on with Penn Station in New York. He's like taking over like the railways now, Amtrak's. They definitely appear to be teeing up to go into Chicago. I mean, that almost seems like a foregone conclusion.
Right.
we got these huge tariffs finally kicking in. So prices are really going to start hitting some people on sort of lower priced imported goods. But even before that is hit, prices are already creeping up and everyone's affordability is already in decline. So like there's and we had day one of school and we already had a shooting, right?
Right. Day one.
Day
Day
one.
one. Hey, but to piggyback on what you just said, great friend of mine in Dallas, Texas, works in the construction industry for a very popular home builder. I was told yesterday that he's being laid off come the 1st of October. Yeah, they got no more.
Because
They got no more housing projects going in Texas.
because they got
Huge home builder.
no
Yep.
buyers, because there's no
Yep.
buyers out there,
No
because there's no one
buyers.
who can no there's no young people that can afford first houses anymore.
Nope.
They're
Nope.
all living at home.
Nope. So that's one thing. On the elevator today, over at a hospital I visited, I had a young lady telling me about a clothing order that she placed on one of these discount sites for $100 worth of items, right? And you get 8, 7, 8, 9 items for $100, right? She said the tariffs were $250 to get the merchandise shipped over to the US. So the order came to almost $350. She was like, guess who's not getting this stuff?
Yeah, that fast fashion, low price stuff from like
Yep.
Temu and I think it's
Yep.
called Shine or whatever. Those
Yep.
that young people were kind of living off of because the only thing they could afford.
Exactly.
That's getting shut down. Now, supposedly they're going to turn around and buy American or buy local, but they're not going to be able to afford it. So it's just going to be more stuff that's out of reach for more people. Maybe it'll rile them up. You know, when you keep waiting to see what's going to rile up the young people, maybe it's the fact that they can't afford new shit.
Right. I mean, look, they can't afford groceries. They can't afford to live on their own. They're moving back in we saw that at COVID. How many kids had to move back home because there were no jobs, right? And then, oh, by the way, Joe Biden steps in, turns our economy into the envy of the world. And because the price of eggs shot up a little bit, we ended up with what we got now. Now, you tell me, Brock, would you rather pay a little bit more for eggs or deal with this fucking Yahoo right now?
Mark, on a slightly different topic, but getting back to, is it wrong? Do you think it's wrong of me to like be disappointed in young people? Because it got me to thinking when the school shooter happened. It's like, shit, we're 20 years deep of school shootings. That means like the people who are in school who are like 10 years old at like Columbine, right? Or like 30
Right.
plus now,
Right.
right?
Right.
And how come the voting for that age group of 18 to 30 isn't massively, I don't care if they're Democrats. They can all be independents. I don't care if they're part of a political party. I have no love for any political parties. But how could they not be anti-MAGA and anti-GOP?
This thing right here. This thing right here. When I look at my son, who's 30, and I asked him, hey, do you know what's going on around the world? What's happening in Israel? What's happening in Ukraine? What's happening here, there? What's happening in the US? Did you vote? He has no clue. He's TikToking, he's Instagramming, he's everywhere but where it matters. They've checked out, bro.
But even if they just have just that one, they can be one issue voters, just that one issue that they want less guns because they don't want other generations to have to like
get it.
have shooter drills once a week. And they just forgot. They didn't think they could make an impact on it. Like they
They got
gave
other
up.
priorities, bro. They got other priorities. They're worried about other shit. Shit that you and I never even thought about worrying about, right? We got a good friend whose son came home and said, hey, I think I'm going to be an influencer, right? That's a thing now where you become an influencer, right? Like, I don't know how you go viral, but apparently you go viral and now all of a sudden you're an influencer, right? You get millions of followers, you get paid off social media some kind of way, and you're an influencer. But what are the chances of that happening for, an everyday kid, right? Everyday suburban kid, unless you come up with some shtick, where you're hacking yourself up, jumping off milk crates or something ridiculous, or skateboarding off of roofs into people's swimming pools. Like, I don't know how you become an influencer, how you get people to pay attention to the crazy shit you're doing online. But that's what people are doing. That's where their attention is. They're looking at young girls on their Instagram, picking the chicks out, who's hot, who's not, who they're going to ask out, who they're going to break up with. They break up on social media and on text. They do everything on here, but you can't vote on your phone. It drives me nuts, bro. I mean, you know how many tens of millions of people we got out there in the voter rolls between 18 and 34, bro? It's millions. The number is millions. And you would think college kids, all those kids that you're talking about, right, who are 34 now, 35, would be coming to the ballot box in droves to say, hey, get rid of these gun-toting lunatics. We're the only ones that got to
And
deal
get
with
rid of
this.
these 80-year-old fucking politicians who've been
Oh,
in the job for 50 years. Like
exactly.
Susan Collins is of fucking Maine, and like, what's his name in Iowa, Grassley. I mean, the guy could barely knows where he is. Like, how does he keep getting voted in? And
Brock,
it's
these
the
guys,
same old people voting the same old people that they've been voting for forever. And that goes on both sides, right? The
right,
Clyburn's like there's this old people, two people that are too old everywhere.
right. And Brock, the
Yeah, so
thing is,
that's a disappointment.
Brock, the thing is, these young people are far and few are motivated for good works, right? Like it's odd when you have a conversation with a kid and he actually looks you eye to eye, understands how to communicate, gives you a firm handshake, right? Can be present in a conversation, doing volunteer service work for others, right? Remember, Brock, we've become a nation of, what was it from Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins, the team of me. That's what we've become. That's what we taught our young people. Go out here and acquire shit for yourself. Go out here and get the biggest SUV on the block. Go out here, put the biggest pool in your backyard. Get the best basketball hoop in your yard, and don't play with it. Then go play on your video games, right? And I'll meet you online tonight at midnight on Call of Duty, and we can talk to each other and talk smack back and forth while we play video games till 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, bruh, they're in a whole different headspace, and I hate to say it, but I was talking to my son last year about, why do you want a PS5? You're a grown ass man. Like, when do you have time to play with a PS5? I was like, I'm not buying no PS5, bro. Don't put that on no Christmas list. We're done with that. We are done with that. You had whatever game came out 15 years ago, when you were 12, right? When you were 11. You don't need it now. But that's where these cats are. I mean, you got grown men, 25, 26, esports. You can major in that shit now, right? You can't become good at esports if you're not playing it all the time, right? If you're not playing it, you're developing the next new game, the next Candy Crush, right? Their heads are somewhere else, bro. They're doing other shit, man. Or they think they're going to the NBA, right? You played college basketball. You know how competitive that was. I played college football. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know people were this good. I'm like, hey, Tim Hardaway was at UTEP when I was there. His butt hit me in the chest. I thought I had a coronary. He was one of the strongest human beings I had ever seen. And he was playing basketball. And I wondered to myself, oh my God, why aren't you our starting tailback? I mean, people have no idea what a long shot it is to become a professional athlete. They don't know what these guys are made of. It's unbelievable. There are wide receivers now running 4.3s that are 6'4", 225 pounds. Just think about the kind of heat and smoke that comes with that when you stick your arm out and you ain't strong like them. Your arm will come out of the socket. People have no idea what professional athletes are made of. And so my point is, their focus is not on the betterment of America, change for our society. Their focus is on acquiring shit for themselves. The next bling, right? The next chain, the next rims, the next whip, the next million. But not everybody can be a millionaire. And I
Yeah,
heard
I mean,
a stat that 1,700 millionaires a day are created in the US. 1,700 per day. We're going to have to do some research on that. As my financial correspondent, I've been meaning to ask you about that.
well, I'm sure that's more from financial holdings, right? That's if
Right.
the stock market keeps going up and people's investments push them into a higher range. It doesn't sound to me it's like from people just getting jobs, right, and
Right.
having built it over time because the job market's stagnant, like the housing market's stagnant, which is why your friend got laid off, right? They're not building as much. because current houses aren't moving. There's no velocity of the inventory, and there isn't that new crop of buyers with the means in order to purchase. And that's why we're an economy that's in decline. I mean, you obviously just pointed out another bigger issue of disengagement. But look, I remember, I don't want to be this old guy on the porch complaining about the young kids. So I'll let that be you. But
Thanks.
I mean, back in the day, I didn't vote in midterm elections back in the day. I would come out every 4 years. I was a presidential voter, but I wasn't keeping track of shit, going on locally and all the policies. So I get that. Most young people aren't. It's as we get older, that we, start in essence concerning ourselves more with those things. But because we're in such a dire situation, because we've allowed the political leaders to get so old and so out of touch with, common America, that we're going to need that push from a younger generation. In essence, we need the younger generation to come along and push out the old timers, squeeze them out. Otherwise, they're going to stay in their seats. They're going to die in their seats like Dianne Feinstein, right? They're not going anywhere. They need to be literally carried out in their desk chair because they're never leaving these jobs unless someone makes them.
Right. And
that's require a youth vote.
We need fresh thought. These folks couldn't even figure out what an algorithm was, much less think about how to come up with legislation on it. Chuck Grassley really is going to come up with legislation for us on social media platforms.
They don't even know what's in it. It gets written for them by a lobbyist that's paying them, and they just pass it through. They have no fucking idea what's even in there. You would think that young people would want the younger politicians because they're also so much more entertaining. They're just better, right? They make it more interesting,
Right.
Find more Jasmine Crockett's and vote for them.
Right. We need a recruitment effort. Oh, I never see a booth at the job fairs for, future politicians. I mean, we need a recruitment effort underway by the DNC. When they see somebody on social media that's dynamic and who's talking about the issues, why not approach these
DNC won't do it because they're playing to the entrenched old timers. It's very hierarchical. Right. And they also want ex-military. They think they got to be tougher than the Republican across the aisle. That's the whole Jason Crow, Alyssa Slotkin thing. You got to have your chops in the CIA or in the military. And I'm like, the problem with the military is you learn how to just fall in line, not to question shit. Because look at all those National Guardsmen, right? Just falling in line. Right? You don't become a creative thinker in the military. You don't come up with creative solutions. So I'm not a believer in military services being good for politicians. I think the best politicians were not that. I think it has to come from outside the system. We looked at Hogg. He look at David Hogg tried to move through the ranks and then got squeezed out. So I think he is doing it. It needs more of a push initiative for younger, out of the box. I think in Indiana or Illinois somewhere there, or Iowa, there is a social media star that threw her hat in the ring, and she's 26 or 28-year-old woman.
I think I remember that.
Something with a long last name, but still they're too few and far between.
Right.
And we need more of it, and that just gets back to the lack of leadership on the left and in the opposition. And if any young people were paying attention to us too, right? We just tell them the lane is open. The field is open because even us semi-old timers are kind of tired with a lot of the people that we've, had to deal with, right? We're tired of Chuck Schumer. We're just done with them. Just somebody come up against them. Let's go. You'll get our votes.
And why can't a guy like Cory Booker, get over that superstar hurdle, right? What's holding him back, right? What keeps him from becoming the next star? Is it that he's not trying hard enough? I mean, he's had a couple of passionate pleas, but, where in the world, do you go from here? We've seen you, Cory. We need more. We need more of you. And that's the deal. You gotta go. Sometimes you gotta shake things up, right? You gotta go outside the hierarchy. You gotta go outside the lane. You gotta not just fall in line behind Chuck Schumer, right? You gotta
You got to say shit that maybe not everyone agrees with, even in your own party, and you got to
Right.
do that pretty consistently to
Well,
get, the
this
branding.
yeah, Zorhan in New York, it's a perfect example, right?
Yeah,
Like these are the
young
kinds
guy.
of folks we needed, right? These are the kind of folks we need to shake shit up, right? To rattle these cages. Look at Cuomo. Cuomo has no answers for him. Eric Adams doesn't either because he's not a skilled politician.
Well, it was interesting today. Al Sharpton, MLK the third or Junior, they did a march on Wall Street today, and they were talking basically appealing to companies about supporting DEI, not running away from it, talking about economic opportunity and the like in New York City. And Mondani went down there and spoke, and Cuomo and Eric Adams didn't show up. And you knew Cuomo wouldn't, because if you're being supported by the moneyed class of the
Right.
Democratic Party, you're not
That's
going to
not where
go
you're
give
going.
that message, right? You're not going to do anything to make them unhappy because you need those checks rolling in.
Yep.
Mondani's not getting those checks anyway. He doesn't give a shit about that. He's trying to get the rent down. He's going to get free, wants free bus rides. He just wants to make the city more livable for more
Right.
people.
Right.
And, Cuomo's not going to come down there and say anything negative on the Wall Street class.
Right.
And
At
that's
all.
where you get the Dems that are too moderate, that are too close to Republicans, right? Because, obviously you'd never get any MAGA type say anything close to that shit.
And and here's the other thing too. New York is one of those places where soon, where are the people who can't afford New York going? Are they going north or south? They're going into Jersey? Where are they going?
You got to
There's
go
not a
pretty
lot of
far out because the
affordable
suburbs aren't
Jersey.
affordable either.
Right.
Are they coming up here? Coming my way? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't get that feel. People came up after when COVID hit just to get out of the city, but my guess is they're going south
Yeah.
where it's warmer.
Yeah.
And I think a lower cost of living in a lot of places in the South still.
Right.
So if it's an affordability issue, I would think the move would be south.
Right. Gosh. All right, buddy. Any quick hits for me?
I got a quick hitter for you. Did you see the confrontation at the net in the women's U.S. Open tennis match
With Taylor.
with the black woman,
Yeah.
American, and the white woman from Europe? Did that strike you as racist, or did you think that was just tennis, a competitive dispute?
I thought there was definitely a tinge of racism there. No education,
No education. Yeah. Well, I'm like, that's an interesting one to go with, right?
Yeah.
Education? We're talking about tennis. Education? Like, where are we pulling SAT scores out?
Right. Really, I could see you got no forehand. I could see some trash talk like that. But, no education, no class. Tinge of racism there, my friend.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I read it too. And I mean, was bizarre.
We got to call a spade, bro. It is what it is. Tennis still a lily white sport. They had difficulty embracing the Williams sisters, embracing any. Coco Gauff even talks about it. I mean, women of
There's
color.
no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, women of color have struggled on the circuit.
Look, my gut read on it was that it's racist, and even if that other player is now going to back away from that, but like the terms that were used, it's like, come on. There was also a tinge of anti-Americanism in there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Wait till we get out of America. I'll kick your ass.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, man, it's sad.
It's everywhere. It's all the time.
It's everywhere. Yeah, it's everywhere. And Trump has emboldened folks as well.
Second quick hitter of the day to get back on Travis Kelce and to talk a little sports here at the end is that, we pushed hard for him to get out and start saying some shit about what's going on in America because he has such a big platform. Apparently came out on his podcast telling the Cleveland Browns, because that's sort of his hometown team. If he hadn't been a professional athlete, he'd be a Cleveland Browns fan because where he grew up. Telling the Browns to play Shedeur Sanders, saying like, look, let the kid play. There'll actually be some interest and excitement going on in Cleveland instead of just being the worst team in the league with some 40-year-old quarterback. Sounded interesting that Travis is out making that statement. Usually players don't even talk about other teams. That's usually kind of taboo just to start with. But, he's already lobbying for his post-playing career. So he's getting getting the commentator mode.
Absolutely. And, the thing about it, too, people respect the players and the players' opinions. because they know who can play and who can't, right? They know, Mr. Flacco's time is come and gone, right? And Dylan Gabriel is not it, bro. He's not at 5'11". I'm sorry. This ain't the Pac-12 or whatever conference they were in, right? And Shador was one of the most accurate passers in America last year with a horseshit offensive line.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on it. I gotta say, I don't like the
bias
against the shortism. I mean, you kind of hit with the shortism that hits hard.
No. That's the numbers.
The 5'11".
Yeah, but that's the numbers, B. That's
I'm still a Doug Flutie guy. I'm still in Flutie mode.
But how many Fluties have there been? Right?
No, the NFL, man. If you're not prototype,
bro, when you got 6'6" and 7 offensive line, when your center is 6'5", right? You got to be able to see downfield, all right? And you don't have a lot of time to be moving your feet, especially when you go up to Green Bay this year and Micah Parsons is coming off that edge off that Dallas Cowboy trade. Go Cowboys! Jerry sucks. I hate the Cowboys.
Nothing will make me happier than if the Cowboys suck again. I hate Jerry Jones, that racist fucker. Wasn't he outside like one of those schools in Arkansas or something? Like, yelling shit at black kids who were during integration. Fuck him. He's a horrendous owner, hasn't won in 30 years. And I love when that team sucks. I won't watch his Netflix his Netflix.
I haven't watched it either.
It's special. All right, that's it for today. What I am watching is I started episode 1 of the Hurricane Katrina documentary.
Yeah,
it's the 20-year anniversary one. Pretty interesting. The old footage is interesting.
On my to-do list.
So that's on my watch list for the next couple of days.
Cool. All right, bro.
All right, Mark. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Peace.